Welcome to today's podcast. We're going to talk about how to use your diet to lose fat. So let's get into this. We're going to go into the boring stuff first. You've got two types of fat. You've got subcutaneous fat. This is kind of like when you press anywhere that you do store fat. If you press it, it's quite soft. You can kind of pinch it. Then we've got the more dangerous kind of fat, which is your visceral fat. Now, this is the fat that is around your organs. And if you were to press your stomach, for example, and if it was hard, this means that you've got a lot more visceral fat. So this is something that we really want to obviously remove. Now, unfortunately, we can't tell our fat to go from certain areas. It'd be amazing if we could, because genetically, we're all made up completely different. So it means we hold fat in different areas. For myself, it's mainly my stomach and my chest. But for other people, it might be their lower back, it might be their ass, it might be their arms. So unfortunately, we can't tell fat where to come off from. And I know it sucks, because we've all got our problem areas. And you've got to understand as well, whatever your problem area is, where you hold the most fat, that's probably the last place it's going to come off. So we've got to have a little bit of patience when we are trying to drop fat as well. As much as we'd love it to, for myself, for example, I wish it had always come from my belly, it probably won't initially to start with. And that's okay, as long as we are losing fat in other areas, because eventually, with patience, with consistency, it will come off. Now, the way that we kind of trigger fat loss, you've got to imagine that there's little pockets in your body, in your cells. So these are cells, sorry. So these cells are like little pockets, and they're full of triglyceride molecules. So these are free molecules in those kind of little pockets in those cells, in wherever you're holding fat. We've got to then tell these little pockets of fat that we've got not enough energy. We are starving our body of energy. We need some help here, lads. And then that's where it breaks up. And this is called lipolysis. I can't say it. Basically, lipase, the hormone, this is what breaks it down into the energy that we need then for whatever activity we're doing. So then it transports that energy into the bloodstream to the place where we oxidize then and convert that energy. The way that then the fat leaves our body is through breathing. 84% of your fat is going to leave through carbon dioxide. 16% of that is going to leave through water, so through your urine, through your sweat. So the more that we can move and the less that we can eat are both huge triggers for you to tell your body that you're not getting enough energy from food, and we need some. We need to get some back up. So this is how fat loss works. Now, how we measure our fat loss is obviously monitoring our weight, but two huge factors also is monitoring our measurements and monitoring photos as well. Because you may not lose any weight. Let's say you're 200 pounds and you want to lose some fat. You might go into week 2 or week 3 and maybe not lost any weight. But you've checked your measurements and you're a 40-inch waist, but now you're a 38-inch waist. This is super important, especially this measurement, because obviously what I mentioned previously in terms of your visceral fat. This is around your organs. This is underneath the skin. This is deep. And this is something that we might not be able to measure or obviously understand or see, because we can't pinch it, we can't feel it, but it's more dangerous for us. But what might happen is you might go from a 40-inch waist to a 38-inch waist. Where are all your major organs? They're around the chest, stomach area. So if you've lost inches, it means that you are losing inflammation. You're losing fat from your organs, which is a great thing. So you might look at your photos and might not see a massive change. You might look at your weight and not see a change, but you might do your measurements, and this may indicate that you are changing. So this is why we do all three, to make sure that in some shape or form there is movement, and understanding that this is a super important part of it. So that's the breakdown of how we lose fat. Now, like I've just mentioned, you've got two triggers. You've got moving more, eating less. Because at the end of the day, it's stored energy. So we need to understand how much energy we are putting out there to understand how much energy we need to bring in to function, to survive, to feel healthy, but not too much that we are just going to keep on topping up that fat. So this is why I think it's a fantastic thing of being on top of your calorie intake. And if you can track that, you are giving yourself a much bigger fighting chance of dropping fat, because you are accountable, you are aware of what it is you are putting in your body and how much you are putting in your body. Calories in versus the calories out is going to dictate if you lose weight. It's plain and simple as that. Now, you can create a bigger calorie deficit, obviously eating that little bit less, but also moving that little bit more. So exercising, just going for a walk, going for a run, for example, all fantastic things to obviously increase your energy expenditure. And just like exercise is not all created equal, neither are calories. So calories are going to dictate if you lose weight or if you gain weight or maintain your weight. But if I gave you 1,000 calories from Morrison's custard donuts, absolutely amazing, by the way, and 1,000 calories from chicken breast, they're going to act completely different in your body. So as much as you would still lose weight, in a long-term effect, if you were just eating donuts, that weight loss would slow down massively. And just off the top of my head right now, it'd come from, you'd have a massive spike in insulin potentially in your blood sugar levels, which then could potentially drop, which could then make you feel fatigued, make you feel lethargic, make you even maybe want to have a nap. So that means you might not be moving as much. And then because you've had such a big drop in your blood sugar levels, you might crave then more sugar, meaning more carbs, meaning more calories. And the kind of cycle goes on. Obviously, it's not good for your well-being either, because you're getting no real vitamins or minerals. Obviously, this is an extreme example, I know. Compared to when you are potentially getting 1,000 calories from just chicken breast, you're going to be getting a good source of protein in there. There's not any sugar or carbs in a chicken breast, so it's not going to really massively fluctuate your blood sugar levels. Your energy might not be as high, obviously, because your biggest source of energy is coming from your carbohydrates, but you can hopefully understand the difference there. That yes, calories matter, yes, the amount of calories that you consume matters, but where those calories coming from are probably very, very, very close second. So we need to understand that we need protein in our body to help us preserve muscle mass, even build muscle mass, depending on your lifestyle, your history, your training, for example. But it's there to preserve muscle. It's there to repair. All your cells have got some form of protein in there, and it's always breaking down protein throughout the day and then regenerating more. So the more protein you can get into your body, the more breakdown of amino acids, then the more likelihood of keeping muscle whilst you're trying to drop weight. And that's an important factor of it as well. Where you're getting that protein from is going to dictate how good a amino acid profile that is coming into your body. So the higher quality of protein, i.e. meat, is going to have a higher quality and a better range of your BCAAs, your branched-chain amino acids, compared to something that might be manufactured, like a protein bar, for example, or something as stupid as protein water. They might not have all the essential amino acids that you need, so that's important as well. Where you're getting those proteins from is going to dictate the goodness of the amino acids that you're taking in. But protein is super, super important, especially when you're trying to lose fat. Obviously, your carbs are there, and they're the main source of your energy. They help fuel everything in terms of your heart, your organs, your muscles, your central nervous system. So having a good amount of carbs in your body is super important, because it's going to be there to give you that little bit of energy and not have to rely just on your fat stores. The fat stores are there to kind of keep, obviously, energy coming in out of your body as well, to obviously lose fat. But we need some there to kind of keep on topping that up as well, so we are functioning at a good level. And obviously your fiber, etc., is really good for your digestion, really good for your vitamin and minerals as well, aspect of things, for a well-being body. And then obviously your fat, very similar, good for your energy levels, good for the transportation of your vitamins and minerals that you are kind of absorbing in your body, and good for your hormonal balance as well. So I believe you need to have a good range of an understanding of all four, the calories that you're consuming, but then the breakdown of where those calories are coming from, your proteins, your fats, and your carbs. Now, your fats and your carbs, obviously we want to get enough fat in our body that is going to, again, help our well-being. But that can kind of range from person to person in terms of, are they a more carb-heavy diet or are they a more fat-heavy diet? But you just got to understand this, that carbs, as good as they are for our energy, if you don't expend a lot of energy, you don't then need to have a lot of carbs. So carbs aren't bad for you, but they're not your best friend either. And you've got to look at it like that. Am I moving a lot? Have I got an active job? Am I exercising? Am I doing X amount of steps? If all those answers are on the lower side, it probably means you don't need as many carbohydrates in your body because you're not expending as much energy. But like I said, we still need to have these in our body. And with dieting, this is all the scientific side of things. Now, how you can translate that into then day-to-day life is obviously a lot harder because we've got social events, we've got past history and relationships with foods, we've got social aspects of and the environment that we keep, the lifestyle that we keep, the way that we were raised, all play massive factors. And the world that we live in right now, you've got Just Eat, you've got fast food within 2 minutes probably of your house. So it's easy to consume a lot of calories without a lot of effort. So it's understanding how you take all this information I've just given you right now and how do you put that into something that works for yourself. And the biggest thing that I can say that works for any diet is being organized and 100% committed to that. Whatever diet is that you choose, it might be a named diet. I'm not going to name any diets, but it might be a named diet that people are kind of throwing out and branding or whatever else. But this is the difference between why I don't like all these named diets is because people use it, it works for them, and then that's it. They think that's it. It works for them, so that's the only diet that will ever work. Where in tour, everyone's different. So you've got to have an understanding of actually what's the principles behind dieting, which I've just kind of mentioned. And when I say dieting, I don't really like that word because when you say dieting, it means, well, I'm dieting to lose fat. Your diet is your diet. It's just whatever you eat. You just go through different phases. You might go through a phase of you eat what you want and you gain weight, or you eat what you want and you lose weight. But the biggest factor I feel is how we lose weight is just being organised. And why I don't like the name diets, like I just mentioned, is because people use that one strategy, get results from it, and then preach that one strategy. It's a little bit like religion. We're not going to get into that, though. Where I feel people need to understand the education behind it and then be able to make their own choices. If they want to cut out carbs out of their diet, do it. But understand why you're doing it, not just because someone said for you to do it. I hope this makes sense. I hope this is kind of registering a little bit with yourself as well. So that's then how do we put that into what works for us? And like I've just mentioned, just be organised. Understand the numbers. My ideal scenario is just understanding the numbers, understanding what my week looks like, understanding what I enjoy as a food, and understanding how can I implement that and keep that in my diet. And most people's struggles with diet is just because of their relationship with food and how they use food. Some people use it just as a fuel. Some people use it more for their emotions. Some people, like if you're bored, I'll just grab something. And then you think, I didn't need that. Or if you were meant to have, you had something in the fridge for you ready to make, but then you got a takeaway instead. And then you had the takeaway, and you ate so much, you feel sick, you feel a bit guilty, and you're like frustrated because, well, why did I do that? It's then looking internally. Well, okay, what does food represent to me, and how do I work around that? How do I get the best out of my diet? And is there other methods that I can kind of lean on that promotes something healthy? So instead of going, I'm really stressed, I'm just going to get home, I'm just going to switch on TV, watch some mind-numbing, some series, have a few beers, have a packet of crisps. Because that's not going to release the stress. That's just going to switch your brain off for an hour. But then once that's done, your stress is still going to be there. Could you have gone to the gym, for example? Could you just go for a walk? Could you read a book? Something that's going to be actually productive for you, make you feel good, and not have a negative effect. Because if you're stressed, if you're already overweight and already stressed about your body, but then someone at work stressed you, and then you go home and you drink a few beers, have a few crisps, you feel a bit guilty about it, but you're like, oh, whatever. But then that's just empty calories that's then added to your weight gain. That's going to cause you more stress, and it's a ever-revolving door. So you've got to understand that aspect of your food intake. It's not just calories in, calories out. And most people can't just kind of formulate that. It's understanding your relationship with foods, your relationship with yourself as well, and how you react to stuff. Because your day-to-day reactions, the actions that you do or you don't take, they're the biggest things that are going to contribute to any person's success, not just in your health and fitness, but everything. So hopefully, I've rambled on a bit there. Hopefully we've made a lot of sense of how fat loss works, how diet works, how our diet works, how food works a little bit as well, and how to make that then hopefully work for yourself. If you've got any questions, comments, you know where I am.